There's always something to learn from anybody.
For today's cup of coffee,
This
is a follow-up on a story that we did when we first heard about it a couple of years ago.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if it goes under the idiots amongst us thing. Probably. This probably would be idiots amongst us. And so, because we do try to, on certain things, if it involves legal action against somebody, if I catch hold of it, I will try to give you updates. Well, we have updates, and yeah, this one was rather amusing. And this is from the Ada News, and I will give you a link on that.
Yeah.
Those of you on YouTube, I'll do the best that I can give you a link. And the article is by Randy Mitchell and was written April the 17th of 2024. And you're like, why are you covering crime? Well, because this is rather unusual. And it says that a man who killed his fishing partner during a trip to South Canadian River in 2022 was found guilty of murder on Wednesday. At the conclusion of a 2-day non-jury trial, District Judge Stephen Kessinger found 55-year-old Larry Doyle Sanders Sr. of Allen guilty of first-degree murder, malice aforethought. So it meant that he was sort of kind of proposing that he was going to do it. It wouldn't like premeditated first-degree murder. But
Yeah.
it was first-degree murder, but it wasn't premeditated per se. And the whole thing about this, and I'm going to read this, the reason he killed his friend was because he believed his friend was calling Sasquatch down on him.
Was
For
he really?
real.
Was he really, though?
We don't know. We don't know. So we're going to go through this article here. And it says that Sanders had always maintained that he killed 52-year-old Jimmy Glenn Knighton of Allen, but claimed self-defense during the trial. And the murder was committed on a hot summer day in July of 2022. And at the request of Knighton, the two went noodling on the river near Allen. And if you're not familiar with noodling, that's where you stick your hand under rocks trying to drag out catfish.
It's a good thing that you described, that you explained that, because I was about to be like, what the fuck is noodling?
Right. But it's one of those, what if there's something else under that rock? What if there's a snapping turtle? What if there's some kind of a snake? I don't know where they are, and if they have water moccasins or anything like that.
If you get bit, you get bit.
Don't be sticking your hand in places you can't see.
There's a reason why we ain't even supposed to eat catfish.
Well, anyhow, it's very popular. It's
It's a bottom feeder.
And just after killing Knighton, Sanders indicated to relatives and authorities that he believed Knighton was trying to summon Sasquatches, not just one, but multiple, so that the beast could feast on Sanders.
Yeah. Well, maybe Bigfoot probably should have.
It gets better. In a surprise move on Wednesday, Sanders took the stand in his own defense.
Yeah, that's great. Was he doped up?
Well, maybe, because drugs are readily available in facilities. People's like, at least they can't get to the drugs if they in prison. Oh, hell no, they have an easier time getting that stuff there than they do out on the street.
Yeah, but they got to worry about it being laced with shit and all
Well,
that.
that's true, because there've been quite a few of them that's fell out and overdosed and died and stuff here recently.
Yep.
And so it says, however, before taking the stand, Sanders attempted to fire his court-appointed attorney, who was Larry Balsarek. And I don't know.
How to say that.
Sanders,
Paul's Valley.
Yeah, Sanders indicated that he didn't feel his attorney was representing him adequately.
How do you represent someone that said, "Oh yeah, I killed dude because he was summoning Bigfoot to eat my ass"?
It doesn't matter. Court-appointed attorneys really don't try that hard.
No.
We've seen that. I've seen that firsthand. Now, there are some that are good, but they are just as rare as hen's teeth. Sanders also indicated that his attorney on the first day of the trial should have emphasized further that he believed the investigation into the case was lacking effort and was shabby. It's feasible. And Kissinger ruled that Sanders failed to provide a valid reason for firing his attorney, and the trial continued. Now, I question that, because if you want to represent yourself, I thought that was every person's right to do that.
Yeah, I thought that was every person's right too, but...
So,
what? Because if you do not feel that they are representing you adequately, you should have the right to represent yourself.
Well, on some of this stuff, just how this is written, this very much could be grounds for an appeal.
Okay.
That's what they're doing on this. It says, it was indicated in day one of testimony that Sanders believes that Bigfoot and or Sasquatch exist.
They do.
And it says it's also indicated by those who testified, as well as the defense, during day one testimony, that Sanders is a user of drugs, including methamphetamine, and that his Bigfoot rhetoric is more pronounced when he is under the influence of the drug.
Well, that means he already believes it in some capacity. It's just amplified.
Among those called by the defense was Dr. Reagan Gill, a forensic psychiatrist who performed a mental evaluation on Sanders after his arrest. Sanders reportedly suffers from a drug-induced mood disorder and is considered to have bipolar disorder. She described Sanders' beliefs in Bigfoot as delusional. Now, I question that. There's a whole lot of people that would question that.
Yeah.
You know, Sanders told Gill that he first started using cannabis in his sophomore year of high school and then first used methamphetamine in 1990. So you've had, 34 years of drug usage, or 32 years of drug usage at that point in 2022 when the murder occurred?
Yeah.
That's some brain cells right there. And he reportedly had used cannabis daily since then and used meth sporadically from 1990 to 2004, then 2 or 3 times per week from 2004 until the death of Jimmy Knighton. He reportedly used meth 3 to 4 days before he and Knighton went fishing. The defense indicated that Sanders was in a psychosis when he killed Knighton, which was possibly induced by methamphetamine use.
Yeah, that will do it.
Yeah, it certainly will.
It makes you stay up for days.
Yeah, and it's like, is it the meth that's doing it, or is it the lack of sleep? Because if you don't sleep for so long, you start to hallucinate and shit.
I think that's what causes the hallucinations.
It could be. It could be all of the above. Yeah. And let's see where I've lost my place here.
Against his attorney's advice.
Against his attorney's advice, Sanders took the stand in his own defense, and Sanders indicated that he and Knighton were more like acquaintances rather than friends. Sanders said that Knighton had offered him employment before July 9th of 2022, and Sanders said he would have started working for Knighton the following Monday. On July the 9th of 2022, Knighton asked Sanders if he wanted to go noodling, and Sanders accepted. That is a very peculiar word to try to pronounce. Yeah, Sanders indicated that before going noodling that day, Knighton had a phone call with someone, walked away from Sanders, and would occasionally look over his shoulder, which Sanders implied made him suspicious.
Dude, you're twacked out.
Yes. Sanders said that after he and Knighton parked near the river, Knighton left to go down to the river and didn't take any water with him, just a beer. Sanders thought that it was odd that he didn't take any water on such a hot day. So he's already got this paranoia going here.
Yeah.
And Sanders said that he grabbed some water and sports drinks from a cooler, and then he was ready to go to the water. Knighton was already about a quarter of a mile away from him, which Sanders thought was strange, as he didn't think Knighton had enough time to get that far away.
Once again, you're twacked out. Things are going to be not...
Sanders mentioned area of rocks where there are American Indian carvings and indicated he felt uncomfortable because he didn't want to disrespect the area which he felt was sacred. Sanders described that there was a tin horn above the rocks, and I looked for this because my understanding of what the definition of a tin horn is obviously is totally different than how it's being used in this article. So somebody from Oklahoma or out west, if you would like to, in the comments, provide us an explanation for this or a definition for this, that would be great. When she said that there was no reason for it to be there, as if it had no purpose. And Sanders then described seeing a man who appeared to be a National Guardsman down the river about 50 to 100 yards away. The man was dressed in military fatigues. He said Knighton was at the top of the rocks when Knighton howled while standing close to the tin horn. Okay, I know what this is because in other articles that I read, it's some kind of pipe.
Okay.
Why didn't they just say pipe?
Yeah.
But anyhow, which Sanders described as Knighton using just a wailing lungful of air.
What?
So he yells into a drain pipe or something like that. And Sanders indicated that he was fearful of what had occurred and was suspicious of why Knighton would do something like that. So Sanders crossed the current of the river and got back on the sand. Sanders indicated that Knighton got back in the water near a pipe of some sort and said there was a fish in it. Sanders said he then looked and saw a black creature, a Sasquatch, about 12 feet tall, 45 to 50 yards away, with its toe in the water.
Hallucinating.
He also said the creature's face was obscured by some leaves of an oak tree limb. When asked if he informed Knighton about the creature, Sanders replied, "I'm pretty sure he was aware of it." Sanders indicated he believed that's why Knighton yelled by the tin horn. Later, while on the stand, Sanders explained that he saw two other creatures, presumably Sasquatches, further up the hill beyond the rocks. One was dark red and the other was brown. Sanders believed all the odd happenings, the phone call, the man in the military fatigues, the howling near the tin horn, and the Sasquatches, among other oddities, were all part of some sort of setup.
Oh yeah, that paranoia is really kicked in bad.
Is horrible. It is horrible. Sanders said that there were people on ATVs down the river and that Knighton had started walking in that direction instead of walking towards his parked vehicle. Sanders indicated that he attempted several times to get Knighton to turn around and head back to the truck and was suspicious of why he was walking in a different direction. Sanders said at one point he pushed Knighton and told him, "Let's turn around and go to the truck," so that they could get to the house for a planned cookout. He said Knighton laughed it off and kept walking. Sanders indicated that at one point he picked up a willow switch and struck Knighton once or twice, to which Knighton told him to stop.
Well, no shit. If someone was hitting me with a switch, I'd tell them to stop too.
Sanders said at some point they
Stop it! Damn it! The fuck you doing?
Sanders said at some point they turned around and walked back toward the truck, but after a long period, Sanders asked Knighton where the vehicle was, saying that they should have already gotten to it. Sanders then claimed that Knighton turned around and knocked him to the ground. Sanders said, "He attacked me."
No shit.
He said they wrestled on the ground for quite some time, and Knighton had Sanders in a chokehold on 2 occasions. Sanders indicated that at one point, while Knighton had him in a chokehold, he put his hands behind his head and attempted to gouge Knighton's eyes.
What?
Yeah.
How? You put his hands behind his head, And is his eyes on the back of his head?
Maybe. Sanders indicated that Knighton then let go, and Sanders then put Knighton in a chokehold until Knighton quit moving. And then
So he choked him out.
The closing arguments. During closing arguments, District Attorney Eric Johnson said that the state had met burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt for the charge of murder in the first degree, malice aforethought. Johnson said Knighton's death was caused by Sanders and said that Sanders was the aggressor. However, the other attorney, dude's attorney, said the defense attorney said that the state did not meet the burden of proof in the case. The defense attorney said that Sanders' belief or non-belief in Bigfoot doesn't matter. That he indicated that long-term methamphetamine use made Sanders have delusions.
Yes.
And
that's what it was.
You know, he must have been a pretty damn good defense attorney.
Yeah.
Or he'd have just sat there.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen before, too. Anyhow, the defense attorney also indicated that the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation did a poor job on the investigation and that the agency closed the books on the case as soon as Sanders confessed. He indicated that they should have tested under the fingernails of both men and that Sanders should have been tested for intoxicant use after he was arrested. Now, as far as testing of the fingernails, because that Sanders, had claimed that Knighton had attacked him also. So that would have been proof that it wasn't just Sanders that was the aggressor.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I think there's reasonable to where they could, appeal the decision on this.
But for real, dude's guilty.
Yes, but why? Anyhow, it says that...
Meth.
That too. The defense attorney said Sanders was innocent of first-degree murder. Now, there's a difference between first-degree murder and manslaughter and all that stuff. That's what that has to do. Upon final closing, Assistant District Attorney Tara Portillo said that there was most certainly malice aforethought in the case. And she said, quote, the defendant has admitted to everyone who would listen that he killed Jimmy Knighton, end quote. Sanders, after he was arrested, made comments that he made sure Jimmy went out and that he did not release the chokehold until Jimmy was turning blue. And Portillo had said...
And you want to claim innocence?
Portillo had said, I agree with Mr. Sanders. There was a monster in the woods that day, but it wasn't Bigfoot. It was him. End quote.
Dude,
I think it was a little much.
Yeah,
seriously.
That was a little much, but the dude was twacked out on meth. Hadn't slept for 4 days. He was having fucking delirium.
Sentencing is tentatively scheduled for 8:30 a.m. of June the 18th. Honestly, say a prayer for dude. Honestly, this is... don't do drugs, kids.
Literally.
Don't do drugs.
We just covered... like that dude that carried the body with him in the car for 8 hours. He probably thought the person was talking back to him.
Yeah.
Dead ass.
Because it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But you know what's weird? What if he really did see Bigfoot?
Waba.
What if he really did, in the midst of this deranged twerk dream? Mama. You don't know. What if he did? What if he really did? What if what he's saying? What if his friend was truly trying to summon the big feet?
He had a hallucination. A delusion. Delusion. Convince yourself.
And the thing is, on FoxNews.com, it's talking about that Knighton's son had been dating Sanders' daughter. So it wasn't that they were just recent acquaintances. Yeah. And
I'm sure she broke up with his ass real fast.
well, no, I mean, he's the son, it's the children. They went responsible for these parents on this stuff. And that Sanders's son had asked, pardon me, Knighton's son had asked Sanders, "Where's my dad?" And Sanders had said, "He's not coming back." Yeah.
Oh, now that's bad.
And Sanders's daughter, it says, who had a strained relationship with her father at the time. Well, God love her. Her father's a meth head.
Yeah.
That's the reality. But she had said that he had confessed to killing Knighton at least 5 times. Confessed 5 times, not killing him 5 times. Of course, with this story, it could have been.
Yeah.
And so he's either facing life in prison or life in prison without parole. So, yeah.
Shit. I mean,
and they drag Bigfoot's name in on the midst of this.
he believed in Bigfoot and he had a fucking delusion of Bigfoot.
Yeah. But what if? What if?
Mama. No.
Oh, my God. Like I said, don't do drugs, kids. This is just, let this
Don't
be
do
a
it.
cautionary tale. Oh.
Say no to dope.
Be cautious when you out there noodling. You don't stick your hands under rocks in the water.
Stupid thing to do. We ain't supposed to be eating them.
Well, it don't matter. I mean, what if something is under there that's gonna bite you?
That's even more reason not to
Like I
fucking
said, big
fish for
ass-
catfish.
Snapping turtle or something. I know they're bound to have them there in Oklahoma.
Oh yeah,
So that's,
dumbass. Twacked out.
I think
Tweaker.
kid is just over here. Now this is one of those that I wish we had a camera on.
Tweaker.
His facial expressions were priceless.
Tweaker. You fucking twacked out.
If you or someone you know has
Twacked
a
out.
drug and or mental health problem, in the description box there is a number for the National Mental Health Hotline. I think that does include addiction issues, because we honestly do try to see these stories from all angles, because it's just bizarre. But there's actual humans involved with the bizarre. Well, one less human involved with the bizarre, but
He was twacked out on meth, having hallucinations.
Now I got
and
a question.
paranoia.
I got a question. You can't make me believe that Knighton or whoever the buddy was that got killed didn't know that dude was on drugs. It's not hard to figure out.
He probably didn't think that he was going to be violent towards him. That's more than likely. He knew. More than likely he knew, but he didn't think that he would kill him or try to kill him.
Well, like I said, when somebody is on, especially meth or some of that shit, a lot of those things can cause psychosis. I've heard of certain individuals that got marijuana psychosis, as evidenced by that girl that had stabbed her boyfriend 100 and some times in California because of marijuana psychosis.
Yeah.
Don't do drugs.
If they are smoking high levels on a consistent basis of THC, like waking up, and then going to bed, just completely tweaked out,
Well, and then you had...
it's going to do something to your mental state.
We had that story of that one, and she looked like some kind of, I don't know, dominatrix bitch or something like that, that she had killed little dude and cut his head off.
She was on meth?
Yeah, they were doing drugs.
Yeah.
And it's like, and other heinous stuff. You can go back in the archives maybe. If you can't find the exact one, give me an email and I'll try to find out which number it was. But had laughed and had left his head in a bucket for his mother to find. Don't do drugs. Yeah, that was a hard story because she was I think she was seriously some kind of psychopath. I think that was even without drugs. She set little dude up.
Flat out, she did.
Allegedly. I'll say that. That's supposed to cover everything. Oh.
Everything said in this video is alleged.
Well, no, I mean, I read it. If I had had the time, I would have gone and searched for the court transcripts. You know, but that's the reason I provide the sources, because I'm simply reading what the source said.
I would take the bee sting over a damn meth head any day.
Mm-hmm. Hurts less. Final thoughts, kid. On this full moon. We're recording this on the full moon.
Don't do meth.
Don't do drugs. Yeah.
And there are some people that don't even need to be on marijuana.
Right.
Flat out. There is.
Yeah, if somebody's got a mental health issue that's undiagnosed and they're trying to self-medicate and everything, you know, and they may not see it in themselves. Those Sasquatches, that shit was real to him. When you got somebody that is hallucinating and stuff, you cannot convince them that they're not seeing what they're seeing.
No, because to an extent they are seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not actually there, though.
Yeah, I
it's
don't
just
believe.
in their head. It's their mind's projection onto reality.
Well, and the thing is, even if there was some kind of weirdness there, we will never know, because any kind of credibility that dude had,
it's out the window.
Because he was on drugs. We don't know that this other dude didn't set him up, knowing that he believed in Bigfoot. And that he, you know, it could have been. We're only getting one side of the story.
Yeah, because dude's dead.
Mm-hmm. Don't do drugs. Oh, if you've had experiences, it makes your
my wig's hurt. In the other room, but it makes my wig hurt.
Makes your big hair hurt.
Yeah.
Oh, if you've had experiences with paranormal or supernatural encounters with UFOs, aliens, cryptids, Big Feet, you can send us an email, cupofcoffeewithscream.
Big Feet ain't violent. He just throws rocks.
gmail.com. I don't know. We heard something really, really weird across the road earlier.
That was like a squirrel.
It was not a squirrel. I can tell you that it was not a squirrel.
Have you ever heard a squirrel scream?
Yes. Whatever it was unusual.
It was either a rabbit, squirrel. It was some sort of rodent. It
wasn't predatory. There wasn't a predator near, because there were deer standing on the other side of the road, and you know, they would have been gone.
Yeah. Are rabbits considered rodents? What are they considered?
Yes, they are in the rodent family. Squirrels are in the rodent family.
It sounded like some sort of rodent. It really did.
It could have been. Like I said, the deer weren't. I take my cues from them.
Listen, if they ain't running, ducking for cover.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
So
if everything's still chirping and squalling outside, you're fine.
It's when it gets dead silent you have to worry.
Yeah. Yeah.
The email address,
back up and go back into the
gmail.com. Yeah, you gotta pay attention. You really do have to pay attention. And don't do drugs.
Yeah. If you like this video, don't forget to like, share, comment, and most of all, subscribe and click that notification button. Don't do meth.
God help. Get some help. If you've got a problem, get some help.
Check her out on BitChute and Rumble at Orlando's Cup of Coffee with Scream. Check her out on X, previously known as Twitter. Orlando COCWS. Don't do meth. And don't blame it on fucking Bigfoot. He ain't done nothing to you. He didn't do nothing.
Oh, we don't even know that they're carnivores.
He didn't do nothing.
He didn't do nothing. He was just there, and he got dragged into that.
God, so. Poor man dude's having delusions, and Bigfoot's getting dragged in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm. But I would say honestly that just from that, if the report was accurate, dude has got grounds to go ahead and appeal. But like I said, the
Who's going to
sentence.
accept that appeal?
Oh, the court-appointed attorney. They can appeal for them.
Once again, who's going to accept the appeal?
Well, that's how the system works. Regardless of what it is, you can appeal the court decision. So that'll be another however many years. But now, I will tell you this. He better hang on to that court-appointed attorney, because that one did sound at least like he was trying.
It's kind of hard to defend someone like that.
Yeah. The burnout rate on court-appointed folks, very high.
Yeah.
Very, very high.
Oh.
Anyhow, know that you are loved.
Makes my plastic hair hurt.
Treat other people the way that you would like to be treated. And Lord willing, we'll see you on the next cut.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye. Dear God. Help.
What's happening in this world? I'm detached from